had a great life.
45-year-old Ken Bernstein was living the American dream. He had a loving family, a beautiful home.
I worked for the Securities and Exchange Commission as investigator, and then I ran a firm as president of a large real estate developer.
And a successful career.
My best year was $2 million.
So nothing could prepare Ken or his children for what happened September 30th, 2005.
It was late at night, and I didn't know what to do.
It was a quiet Friday night at the Bernstein home when there was a knock at the door.
My son ran downstairs and he said, "Dad, there's some guy at the door."
Checkmate employee Anthony Davis was there to serve a subpoena ordering Ken to testify as a witness against a company completely unrelated to Ken.
I saw the papers and I go, "What? You're serving me something I'm not even a named party in at 9 o'clock at night? All the lights are off in my house."
But what Ken didn't realize is that Davis was a convict with a long history of violent crimes, including assault, aggravated assault, sexual assault, drugs, and even burglary. A criminal record Checkmate Incorporated failed to check before sending a dangerous man out into the public.
I said, "Okay, you served me, now get off my property." He says, "I'll leave when I want to leave."
Ken admits he was pretty upset when Davis refused to leave.
And I said, "You leave now or I'm going to call the police." And he said something like, "I'm going to take you out."
That's when Davis did exactly what he said he was going to do. He punched Ken in the temple, knocking him out cold.
I think it might have hit his head, like when he hit the ground.
While his son Dylan watched in horror.
He was just laying there, and I sort of tried to wake him up. He didn't wake up.
The 9-year-old then turned to Davis and begged him for help.
I said, "Please help me," and then I kept saying that, and then he just walked off.
And Dylan was left all alone with his unconscious father.
Tried to down, then I kept dialing like 922 and 900, and it was just I couldn't dial the phone.
Because you were so scared.
Yeah.
When Ken finally woke up at least 5 minutes later,
I was very groggy and sort of didn't realize what had happened.
he didn't know just how badly he was hurt.
I could just feel my head like pulsating. I could just feel it.
So he went to the emergency room the next day where doctors determined that punch left Ken with permanent brain damage.
So this gentleman had blood along the surface of his brain, the deepest surface, the arachnoid membrane.
That brain injury has changed Ken's life in every way.
I feel like I'm like spacey in a fog.
The once powerful businessman can no longer think clearly or react quickly.
I'll start talking, and in the middle of it, I'll stop and forget what I just said.
His ability to perform his career, as far as I'm concerned, has been damaged, no doubt.
Even daily activities are a struggle for Ken.
I miss appointments. I forget to pick up my son at school. I forget where I live.
There are a number of important skills, part of them being cognitive skills, part of them being more personality features that have changed.
Neuropsychologist Dr. Bob Sokol says Ken's brain injury will likely affect his mental ability for the rest of his life.
To survive and perform well in the competitive workforce, you need to be able to attend to task, to stay on task, to remember what you're doing, to perform things efficiently. And these kinds of thinking problems can certainly compromise all of those.
The thing that always amazed me about him was he was always like 10 steps ahead of everybody in his thinking.
Even Ken's best friend and former business partner is shocked by just how much he's changed.
Most frustrating thing about it is trying to talk to him. Having a conversation with him, he still has kind of a slurry speech, and he has this habit of repeating himself over and over and over again, and I'm like, Kenny, you made that point an hour ago. And I joke with him, it's like I'm talking to my grandfather here who forgot what he told me 10 minutes ago, but the sad thing is it isn't my grandfather.
Vocational rehab doctor Mark Litvin believes it will be hard for Ken to hold down even the most basic job.
He is now a disabled worker.
Economist Jerome Darnell estimates Ken's lifetime financial losses are in the millions.
If Dr. Litvin is correct in his assessment as to his earning capacity now,
then Ken Bernstein's economic loss would be double or triple whatever I figured, anywhere maybe from $3 million up to $4.5 million.
I've been trying to forget about it, except it's sort of hard to forget about it.
Dylan's life changed too.
Clearly, he's suffering from chronic post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Dr. David Zirk says ever since Dylan saw his dad get knocked out, he's been experiencing sadness, fear, and anxiety, problems that could affect him for many years to come.
And when something happens to your father, then it can just have devastating effect.
I've got kids to raise. Will I be able to do what I used to do?
Ken now worries about how he will care for himself, his son, and the rest of his family in the future.
I feel that my abilities and who I was is not who I am. Well, who I used to be may not be who I will be in the future.
And everything's kind of changed for you, hasn't it?
Yeah.